communication disease is called Tourette syndrome. But we're going to first talk about what cellular communication is. Cell communication is the process of which your cells send information to each other and to complete everyday life functions. There's two different types of cell signaling. You have local cell signaling and long distance cell signaling. Local is where your cells communicate with each other directly. Long distance is where they have to travel a piece to send the signal. Usually your long distance are your hormones that pass, and then we have a ligand as a binding to the signaling molecule. What is Tourette syndrome? Tourette's is a disease characterized by repetitive and involuntary movements called tics. The exact cause of Tourette's is unknown. There is no treatment for Tourette's also. Tourette's is a cell communication disease because there is an abnormality in specific parts of the brain which result in tics. Patients with Tourette's have impaired sensory motor gating, which is a ligand-gated ion channel. Tourette's is a cell reception problem. So you have simple tics and complex tics. Your simple tics are where it just involves one motion or one word, where your complex tics involve multiple motions such as bending, and then your vocal complex tics are phrases, like you can repeat somebody's phrases or obscene words, but only 10% of patients with Tourette's that have complex vocal tics shout out obscene words. Some examples of simple tics are eye blinking, throat clearing, head jerks, grunting, and shoulder shrugs. And then complex facial grimacing, rotating, bending, obscene words, repeating others' words. And also there's one where you can repeat your own words. You just repeat yourself over and over again. What causes Tourette's? There's many beliefs that cause Tourette's. None of them are exactly known. Some are just certain cases that have them, but there's enough patients that have that to make it a cause. It is believed to be caused by a combination of inherited and environmental factors. Chemicals in the brain that transmit nerve impulses, known as neurotransmitters, such as dopamine, might play a significant part in it, because in Tourette's, there's too much dopamine, which causes your tics. A mutation of the SLITRK1 gene, which is located on the 13th chromosome, and it plays a role in growth and development in the brain. These tics were believed to be a result of a mishap mainly in the basal ganglia located in the brain. The basal ganglia is associated with voluntary movement, which mainly uses neurotransmitter gamma aminobutyric acid to function. Recent studies have shown the excess amount of dopamine might cause abnormal function of the basal ganglia thymocortical circuit. And it is believed that once you get older, your Tourette's begins to lessen in your 20s, but researchers have found that the smaller the basal ganglia is, the longer you will have Tourette's. And right here, the basal ganglia is in the middle of your brain towards the bottom, and it affects the basal ganglia, the thalamus, and the cerebral cortex mainly. Another explanation for Tourette's is the malformation of genes NRXN1 and CNTN6. The NRXN1 gene, there is deletions, whereas the CNTN6 has many duplications. Proteins on these genes involve cell fusion. And then another one that scientists have come to believe is that it deals with histamines, and they've discovered a mutation on the HDC gene, which is a W317X. It's a base pair substitution from guanine to adenine at the 317th amino acid position. The mutation changes tryptophan codon to a stop codon, so you can't. So it makes it impossible to convert histidines to histamines.
Look at in the bottom corner.
Oh shoot.
Alright, just hit the next slide.
It's not going right.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
I'll stop the timer.
How is Tourette's transmitted? Tourette's is believed to be an autosomal dominant gene, which means that 50% of people who have it will pass it on to their children. Boys are more likely to be affected with Tourette's, so for every one girl, about 3 to 5 boys are affected. And 1 out of 360 children are affected by Tourette's. But Tourette's, you usually don't go to the doctor to be diagnosed with Tourette's. So you get self-diagnosed, and about half of those people don't actually have Tourette's.
Are your hands sweating or something?
No. What are the symptoms of Tourette's? To be classified to have Tourette's, you have to have 2 motor tics and 1 vocal tic. Tics occur several times a day, and the tics begin before 18, because usually your worst tics are going to occur during adolescence and when you're going through puberty, because they believe it has something to do with your hormones. And your tics have to change location and severity change over time, because so if you have a tic where your eye blinks, your next tic over time has to change to where like your head jerk, or you do something else besides your eye blinking. Most patients also have OCD, ADHD, or ADD with Tourette's, because OCD, ADHD, and ADD also occur in the basal ganglia, and so usually they're accompanied with Tourette's. And also, patients with Tourette's usually have anxiety and depression because they go through bullying, because your tics are mainly during adolescence when you're in school, and they get bullied a lot, so they have depression. Why is it me?
This might just take 18 minutes, Mary.
I know! It's
You
just
said
'cause
something the other.
there we go.
Hold on. Alright. Go.
Treatments for Tourette's. Tourette's has no treatment, but patients can be given antipsychotics, which will lessen or block the dopamine from causing tics. And then for severe Tourette's, they have deep brain stimulation. They implant electrodes into your brain to alter the activity of the brain. And they also put a probe into your brain to help monitor it. And for your less severe Tourette's, speech therapy and for vocal tics and physical therapy for motor tics can help control them, because you can't stop your tics from therapy, but you can help know when they're about to come and help lessen or hide the tics. And music is also found to help lessen tics, because when you listen to music, your anxiety and your stress goes away, and so your tics will lessen. So you might not see them, but they still have tics. And I think that's it.
Good job, man.